What do you think of that? One second. What about this one?
Wow.
Welcome to another episode of Horror Never Dies. This is season 2, episode 6. We're going to be talking about the black culture in horror. Now, before I get started, I'm going to bring on my panel real fast. What up, Terrence?
Hello, Perp.
What up, Rashad?
What's the deal? Pickles, everything kosher?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
How y'all
Terrence
doing?
was good, fam.
Hello, Rashad.
Hey, same shit, different toilet, man. Can't call it.
So, Rashad, you saw Beazle, right? You finished it?
Yeah, I finished that today. Yeah.
How'd you feel about it?
It was straight, man. I could tell it was shot on a real low budget.
Mhm.
I wish we could have got more of the witch, because when they did show the bitch, man, it was a sight to see. It was scary, got under my skin, but I feel like we didn't get enough for her. But I think that's because of the budget. I guess the budget wouldn't allow her to be seen like that. But overall, I thought it was an effective horror film, man. It was a lot better, a better version, like I told you earlier, of Barbarian, because I hated Barbarian.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
And I can see
this one felt gritty. This one felt more grittier and grimy. You know, that's how I like my horror movies.
Yeah, and I has potential to do, like, I could see them doing like a sequel, because you could like do
Yeah.
that kind of story forever, and just have it be different stories, and even how they utilize the technology and stuff at the time. But you know, yeah, I just wanted to get your thoughts on that real quick. But
Well, also, and real quick, man, like it took it
yeah,
back to the whole, like, we watch horror movies back in the day, and you saw, and I don't mean to make this a race thing, but you see white people doing stupid shit. I'm like, dude, get the fuck out of the house. Like, what's the problem? And you see, you see all this bad stuff happening, and like, get out of the house. Like, what's the problem? So there was times
right.
I was actually yelling at the screen, how I used to do back in the day, man. So that was a good callback, because I'm like, man, ain't no way. Yo, if that was black people in that movie, man, that should have been like 10 minutes long. Straight up.
Right. What up, Terrence? How you been, bro?
I'm okay. Yep. How you been?
Shit, man, working, stay busy, staying busy. That's all you can really do at this point. You know what I'm saying? But we're gonna get into tonight's festivities. Starting off with the horror recommendations. You know, the Horror Never Dies recommendations, since we are talking black horror and whatnot. The first, I was starting to kind of rewatch this documentary that's on Shudder. It's called Black Noir: The History of Black Horror. Fascinating documentary. Yeah, fascinating documentary. Doesn't get talked about enough. That will kind of give you the probably like the best breakdown of just just black people in horror in general. It's a solid hour and 30 minutes. I could have swore that shit was longer. I don't know why, but and another movie they touch up on in this documentary, Night of the Living Dead, the original, with Dwayne Jones and shit in there. That guy does not get talked about enough, not only in just not only in horror, but just in cinema in general. You know what I'm saying? For being like a black lead at that time in the late '60s and stuff like that. And just watching the documentary and stuff like that, it's just really dope. Another one I would recommend. I think it's still on Tubi.
Yeah.
It might not be on there, but Death by Temptation. This shit has the funniest opening to any horror movie by far, bro. And like I got the clip on my TikTok and whatnot. That whole opening scene to that movie, it's ridiculous, but it's fucking hilarious. It's genius. I would say.
Yeah, it's
Attack of the
actually
Block.
on Peacock. I'm sorry, it's on Peacock and Tubi.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Because that's where I peeked that. I've seen this movie like plenty of times when I was younger, but it's good that, like, Tubi has those older movies that they're just kind of harder to find, so it came in clutch. So yeah, it's on Tubi. You can watch it for free. Attack of the Block, I know it's not technically like all the way horror, but they're fighting monsters and like aliens and shit like that. So they definitely have some horror elements there. John Boyega's best movie. I always feel like that's his only movie, really. But
Damn, don't do it.
it
Don't
is
do
what it is.
it.
But Rashad, do you have any recommendations, like off the top of your head?
Well, since we're on the topic of black culture and horror movies, I would recommend Vampire in Brooklyn. Even though that's more of a horror comedy, but Wes Craven did direct it, so don't just think just because Eddie Murphy's in it and it's not going to be, it has some horrifying moments in there. It has those Wes Craven touches on there that make it legit horror. So I recommend that one. Also, Blackula, which is like the OG black vampire movie. Look, Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors, Kincaid, Lasted to the End, and The Thing. Yeah, The Thing. What's his name? Keith David, Lasted to the End. You know what I mean? So that's my fourth.
Yeah, Keith David's definitely got a place in horror, especially with like Tony Todd and the laundry list. Terrence, you got any like horror recommendations off the top of your head? Black horror?
Yes, specifically black horror. A film that came out last year called "The Angry Black Girl and Her Monster."
That was a good one.
And,
Y'all liked that?
Okay,
yeah,
I dug it.
Yeah, it was. I thought it was an interesting film because, the main character, Vicaria, she believes that death is something that can be cured, that it's a disease, and she's like this genius level student, so she finds a way to bring her brother back to life after a tragic incident took his life, and then from there you see the horrific elements of what happened when she decided to do such a thing. And I thought that the storytelling and the acting in that was pretty cool. And what would probably happen if someone managed to do that based upon trauma and not really considering the overall consequences of their actions.
Yeah, that was a solid one. I dug that one. That was a pretty interesting movie.
Well, I guess I'm gonna have a hot take with that. That actually made my worst list of last year.
I can see why. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not perfect, but I understand what they were going for. You know what I'm saying? So,
and I said that. I said the premise was definitely intriguing. You know what I'm saying? Like the premise surpassed the execution. I thought, I like it once again, like shoestring budget, which I hold that, you shouldn't hold that against the movie. But in that case, it showed that it was really low budget because, the production was a little, you know what I mean? Yeah, I just wasn't feeling that one.
But that's what's so fascinating that's just so fascinating about movies in general, or just even horror movies, that like not everybody's going to see it the way that you see it, but like they're going to be like those horror movies that everybody can resonate with, or it's going to affect somebody different. Somebody might be able to really relate to the movie of that, or just the plot of that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so that's the recommendations. I want to get to.
That was the Terrence. Yeah, I thought you had a few more.
Oh, no, I was just thinking of black horror in general, because if we're talking about just horror movie recommendations, I have like maybe 200 films total that I can recommend, but we probably don't have that kind of time for me to go into all 200.
Yeah.
True.
Tony says he wants to see more Black Final Girls. I agree, and that's kind of why I wanted to kind of have this kind of discussion, because, like probably like a month ago, I was talking about this, and it's interesting that because my whole thing is just like I kind of feel like there is like a lack of Black horror content within horror, but then or just the presence is just like kind of like lacking. And then all of a sudden you got Brandy got her horror movie, then you got Hallie in her horror movie, then you got Mr. Crockett coming out, which a lot of people are really rocking with Mr. Crockett, the one that's coming out same weekend as Terrifier 3.
Oh,
So
really?
now we starting to see. No, it's coming out on Hulu though. So
Oh, okay,
Uh,
okay.
oh yeah.
Gotcha.
yeah,
I wanted to add one more thing, Perp, uh, for the humans.
yeah.
So now this is a really terrible movie, but Queen of the Damned with Aaliyah. So
Mm.
Mm.
even though that movie was awful, I think that Aaliyah as an actress was good, and it's a shame that she was taken away so early. But to me, she was the complete standout in that movie as a vampire. Like she had that perfect blend of sexiness, but then when you see those fangs come out, you're like, all right, so should I run or should I let her bite me? I think I'm gonna let her bite me. That's what I was thinking.
Mhm.
Right. And yeah, just go watch it for Aaliyah. You know what I'm saying? Like go support it for Aaliyah's sake and whatnot. And,
Did that
and
movie
hey,
that
you
movie
might
come out?
enjoy it.
That movie come out after she died or before she died?
Before
Before I
she
think it
died.
came out 2000, right?
2000. Okay. I
Yeah.
never actually watched that,
Yeah, it came
man.
out
I always stayed
2002.
away from that movie.
Now, Tony, when you mentioned you want to see more Black Final Girls, um, there's a recent horror movie that came out on Shudder. Shouts to Shudder. I don't know why I keep shouting them out and they don't give me nothing. But there's this movie called Sissy. That movie is fire and it's super underrated, but has one of the interesting like little kind of plot twists. Like has kind of multiple twists in the movie, but if you're looking for like a dope horror movie with a final black final girl, there you go. Would y'all consider what was that Tales of the Crypt joint?
Oh, Demon Knight,
Yeah, with
Jada.
yeah, Jada, would you consider her
Hmm.
a final girl on that?
Yeah, she lasted till
Yeah,
the
so
Um,
that
end.
hmm
I mean, I guess she sort of counts. Like she's in that gray area. Like I don't know. I don't know if I consider that entirely.
Man, look, she lasted till the end. Them demons ain't get her, and she got out. So I consider that's a final girl. She made it.
Yeah, she
yeah,
made it. I think she made it because they forgot she was in the movie. But yeah,
Oh, sounds
yeah,
like
but
somebody's not a Jada fan.
no, she
but yeah,
she's
that's
she's a good actress. It's just in that movie, I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna give her that much credit.
Mm.
but yeah, do y'all feel like there's like a lack of a lot of like and I don't even like if it's like coming out from like Tyler Perry, Lee Dan, I don't really fucking I don't give them credit for that shit. Like, that shit don't count. You know what I'm saying? Like, but you feel like there is kind of like a lack of black presence within horror since it's like booming right now, or like, e- like I say that, but then like you see all these movies coming out, and then you see Sinners coming out, Ryan Coogler
Mhm.
stepping into the horror kind of thing and whatnot. Like, and I started to think as I was watching the documentary, I was like, damn, why didn't he just call this shit Blackula instead of Sinners?
Right.
Um,
That'd be dope.
so to answer your question, it's kind of like what I've been telling humans for the last 21 years, which is Hollywood doesn't care about black people. Like what they do is they'll do some little projects here and there, and they might
Hmm.
say something on social media to make it seem that way. But that's why there isn't a larger presence. Like we have to be the boyfriend, the girlfriend, the victim, the background character, or you might have like a standout scene where they insult the demon or the monster character and then get killed after that. It's just that's what you get most of the time. And then you get some starring ones, but they'll be on smaller stuff like a streaming service. But when you talk about these big Hollywood movies, there's not a whole lot of those. But occasionally they will, come out with a handful, every 6 years to try to trick people like, see, we do care about black people. It's like, no, you don't.
That's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
if you cared about black people, you would have Tyler Perry attached to Shirley Daniels. But
Ugh, gosh.
what's your thoughts on this, Rashad?
Yeah, nah, I think Terrence pretty much hit it on the head, man. It's not. I mean, historically, that's just always been the case. Especially in the '80s, we were always the jive talking, slick talking sidekick that breakdance and shit like that. We were always like the cool characters, but not the last ones to make it to the end. You know, that's why I always shout out Elm Street 3 because that was one of my first time seeing a brother make it to the end of the movie. You know, talk this shit to Freddy and then live to tell about it. You know, but of course only get killed in the next movie. But I mean, we're seeing more black survivors now in horror movies more than ever, but it's still few and far in between. But we are seeing them more now than we used to. You know, like back then, it was very rare. You had like I could count on one hand, you know, on how many black people survived, especially sisters. You know, sisters like Jada Pink is probably one of the first I think that I can think of, unless you correct me, one of the first black women that I've seen survive a horror movie.
I guess they had to do something for her because she got, you know, stabbed quite a bit at the beginning of Scream 2. So, you know,
quite a bit.
That's
understood.
Yeah, sometimes in life.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's like
that's a good point you make. And I mean, real quick. So I mean, I know this doesn't have to do with horror, but I just thought about this when Terrence was making his point. Like even when I watched that Vince McMahon documentary, and they glossed over so quick about the racism that exists in wrestling that nobody really wants to talk about, but it's clearly there. And they use The Rock as an example to debunk that theory. Like, well, The Rock is the first champion of color, you know, and then Vince McMahon was like, yeah, I don't see color, you know, I don't see black and white. I see, you know, as long as you draw money. And I'm like, that's a goddamn lie.
See, I'm gonna watch that, Rashad, because I am a wrestling fan. But what I'll say to that, because you know, I watched WWF as it was known at the time, WCW, ECW, NWA, National Wrestling Alliance. I'm like, just because we got Dwayne Johnson, Ahmed Johnson, Rocky Maivia, D'Lo Brown, and Farouk, right? Just to name some, don't mean that they're not racist. Like, so I just mentioned 5 names. There's definitely a few more, but those are like the real big ones, right? That maybe humans can name 2 or 3 of the ones that I mentioned, but compare them to the rest of the wrestling history.
Yeah, it'd be like that. You know, like a lot of industries, like they'll like to use us for our talents, or you know, we obviously like, you know, getting that black demographic. They do it in politics. They're doing it right now until like they don't need us no more, and then you know, once they make their buck or whatever, it's just like, you know, they can move on.
Right. Like what happened to that one spinoff or that one sequel? They're like, oh, we decided to go in a different direction. It's like convenient.
Yeah, it happens like that. And even would y'all say at least the trope of the black man dying first that's kind of not a thing anymore? Like
it was a thing with Beazle.
Right, yeah, never mind. I was like, bro, I was like, oh yeah, we started off with a black lead. And I was like, yeah, let's do this. But then I thought about it. I was like, oh shit, this is an anthology, so he probably not gonna make it. So
yeah, that brother's toast, man. That brother's toast. You know,
it's a little different, but it's still there. But like I was telling humans, I was like, see, that's what they want us to focus on. They're like, look at these 3 movies right here. See how they not dying and stuff. I'm like, yeah, but are we supposed to ignore the fact that there aren't a lot of black characters? Like it's like, well, if you got a few of them that survive, it's like, well, yeah, because you only have a few to begin with. Like when you think about what's been happening recently, how many of those characters are iconic and classic that happen to be black? You probably can count them on one hand.
Right.
Yeah, we haven't had no black icons in horror in a long time.
Time.
As great as like Get Out was, you know, and what to do what it did, you know what I'm saying? I wouldn't say Chris is like necessarily like an icon, you know what I'm saying?
Nah.
Right.
And
they don't mention,
like I was saying earlier,
80 other characters before that character. Yep.
Yeah, and like I was saying earlier too, like the way that we were portrayed, how Hollywood sees us, you know, like there was a story that I saw on the making of Elm Street 4, where Rennie Harlan wanted the Sheila character, the one that played the nerd, wanted her to act more quote unquote black. You know what I'm saying? She wasn't being black enough. And of course she tried to clarify, like, what do you mean black enough? Like, you know, popping your neck and talking with the attitude, and she's like, but that's not the character of Sheila. Sheila's actually a smart A student, who's a nerd. And they kind of had a back and forth argument about that. So I guess him being embarrassed when she exposed his ass, he was like, oh, well, I didn't know. I thought that's how, black people acted in this country. I'm like, ain't that about a bitch?
See, oh man,
Yeah,
that's why I'm glad they had that scene in The Boys season 4 when they were telling A-Train when he was shooting his movie. It was like, hey man, that seemed like a good scene. You acting with Will Ferrell, but you gotta say it like more black, more street. And I was just like, that
more
is
urban.
exactly what they be doing. More urban.
That's what you're killing me. What you mean by that? Like, it's crazy that that really goes on behind the scenes still to this day and stuff. And like I said, it can't be just Jordan Peele kind of carrying the banner for that shit. Like, even though it's dope, like him really putting his stamp in and shit.
Mm-hmm.
But it'd be dope to see, like, what's the old girl that made the Candyman shit? Nia DaCosta.
I can never pronounce her name. Yeah.
Nia DaCosta. Even though I didn't like that, but I'm saying I would like to see her do horror again. Especially after doing the Marvels and not being so well received and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like a lot more people are going to definitely in this day and age just going more into horror. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not. You don't got to worry about like the backlash, too much of a backlash, with the horror fans, because horror fans are a little bit more accepting of shit. Unless if it's like Halloween Ends, that's the only time I've seen like things get kind of like extra.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? When it didn't really need to be, but
See, but you're right though, Perp, because she need to stay away from comic book stuff because clearly she don't read shit, she don't know shit. But when it comes to these independent horror films, it's different, and you won't necessarily have that mindset of let me repurpose all the characters. It's just like, oh, let's see what we can do with what's on paper. So she would have to do something like that, and it would have to be good, and then maybe, we can revisit the discussion because Jordan Peele is by himself. It's not like there's like 3 or 4 other black writers and directors that's giving him competition. Like Jordan Peele is basically competing with the white humans that do horror.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Tony, she could probably play direct the Chucky movie. Now, I think Chucky should just kind of fall back for a while, put it on ice for a few years, and then kind of do a reboot, come back. Do I want her to necessarily do that? Probably not.
No,
Yeah.
hell no.
I would rather Brad's daughter kind of step in that director's chair. I would want to kind of see what she would do.
That's actually not a bad idea with the daughter, but first I need Don Mancini, who created Chucky. I need him to do a follow-up movie to the end of Chucky season 3, and then we can have the daughter step in, and then Don Mancini can be the producer. Like I'm down for that.
That could be something. But yeah, like I said, that would be dope to see. Like as you were saying, Terrence, like there should be more black writers, directors, and stuff like that, other than Jordan Peele, and we'll probably get that. It's probably gonna take some time, and we'll also gotta have to support the shit.
Exactly. And I mean, it almost feels like Jordan Peele's like the token. I remember they used to say back in the day the token Negro.
Oh, he is technically. With all due respect, that's what it is. It's like you're in a sea of white humans where they pretend to like your stuff, but we all know that Jordan Peele, when he said that he don't want to put a bunch of white people in his movie to play all his characters because we already seen that. So, even though that rubbed everyone who wasn't black the wrong way, he was just making it a point to say like, hey, I'm trying to establish iconic characters who are black. Like, can you name me some? And then the interviewer was quiet. Like, you couldn't say shit. Like outside of, Dwayne Jones from Night of the Living Dead, but that was decades ago.
But it's funny people made a whole stink about that, right? But yeah, when Tim Burton said that he puts mostly white people in his movies because of how dark his movies are and they're easier to like. nobody said shit.
Well, of course not, because see, they pick. That's why I was saying. See, that's a full circle thing you brought up, Rashad, about the whole. They don't care about us. When they want to snipe us, they do, and when they want to lift us up, they do. But as soon as their arms get a little tired, this is what they say. They like drop that nigga, and then that's what happens. It's all over.
Yeah. I mean, take the blaxploitation era for example. You know, and I hate calling it. I even hate calling it blaxploitation, but I don't know another word for that. But as long as those movies were making money, it's like, oh, there's a market for this. Black people go to the movies. Okay, let's keep bringing these out, and it became like an assembly line of just black films, just constantly every week. You was getting new black movies, whether they were good or not. They was pumping them in the theaters because they knew black people in the hoods would go see these movies. But after a while, they stopped, and the money machine stopped. And guess what happened? They pulled the plug. So all your Jim Browns and Fred Williamson and all these famous black people in our community, in our culture, are now out of the job.
But now what's interesting in the time that films are being made now, like you have a few things that are on the rise or coming back. One of those things being AI, and I know a lot of people are freaking out about that stuff, but I just feel like that's just inevitable. Just like CGI was inevitable, like when it started, first being introduced into films. And just this whole resurgence of people making indie films, just smaller budgeted films, and them getting more eyes on those types of movies. You know, because like pre-pandemic, you probably wouldn't see, or I don't think a Terrifier would hit the silver screen and stuff like that. I don't think a lot of these smaller movies, or even like The Substance, I don't think that makes it to the big screen. Doesn't make it into the movie theaters.
Probably not, but the reason why, like you said, there's a resurgence with these the smaller independent films, is because a lot of the mainstream movies are fucking dog shit mixed with piss. Like they're not good. So when that happens, humans start to look to an outside source, which is smaller budgets. You know, they're actually looking for something. So that happens to be those smaller indie independent films, and then sometimes films from other countries. They're like, man, this American action movie is trash. So let me go over here to India. Let me go to this Korean film or this Japanese film. And then it's the same thing with horror, because we talking about horror. It's like, hey man, did you see that horror movie that came out of Denmark? Did you see this? Did you see that? And then you realize that, damn, this shit may be low budget, but there's a certain kind of passion when it comes to the storytelling and the characters. I'm like, but for me though, I've never been like, it has to be American. I'm like, you can give me something from Germany. I don't give a shit where it comes from as long as it's good. So if you got passion and talent, then that's what it is.
Facts, the quality, man. I mean, like last year, Evil Lurks and then Exorcist came out around the same time, and I'm like, dog, it's not even close. Same weekend, yeah. And Exorcist was like a big budget American production, whereas Evil Lurks is like Argentina or something like that.
Yeah, Argentina.
Not even close.
Now, how do y'all feel about what if like there's a black director or just black creatives in general, and they're able to create a movie, but it's all using AI, you know what I'm saying? But at the time, they're doing something groundbreaking and stuff like that, and people think it's like a real movie. Like, how do y'all feel about that? Like, you know, just the use of AI, or just, you know. I see some benefits in AI, but also I can see people misusing it.
They would have to get better at doing it, because they used something akin to that with The Lion King, right? They're like, oh, live action. I'm like, no, this is just better animation. But the characters couldn't emote and shit. So until they can work on the emotions, then we're gonna have a serious problem.
And that movies are 90% emotion. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why we go to the movies to feel something. And I don't know. I mean, I just have to see how it unfolds. But I guess I'm a little old school. I don't believe in all that AI stuff. You know what I'm saying? I'm just straight up, creativity from the human mind, from mind to paper to camera to screen. That's
But you
how
could
I feel
also,
that's the best way to make a movie,
but at the same time, don't you think that's how some filmmakers felt when CGI was starting to be used more frequently? Because that's
Yeah,
still kind of assisting,
yeah.
even though that's a person still, a person
Mhm.
still has to put in those prompts and tell the AI what to do. So I would say it's kind of like the next step,
Yeah.
like the
Well,
next kind of evolution of like CGI in a way. You know what I'm saying?
isn't okay, but that's kind of a little bit tricky because when CGI, when they was really working on it, like when Spawn came out with Michael Jai White, like there was some moments in that movie that looked good, and there was a lot of shitty CGI,
Mhm.
but his suit and his cape looked great the entire movie, and you did
Mm,
have directors saying like, "Oh man, I'm gonna have to change the way I do things," but you had plenty of directors realize the reality, which is CGI doesn't mean that you have to stop what you're doing. It depends on the project. Like CGI is
right.
nothing more than a means to help you tell a story more effectively. But depending on what you're making, you may not require a whole lot of CGI. So that's why we still have and had films that didn't have a lick of CGI in it. You know what I mean? Outside of a couple of things. So
Mm,
when I was a kid, I noticed that as well. I'm like, well, these other 50 movies that I watched, you don't need no CGI, like the dramas and the comedies. And then even with the horror movies, sure, like maybe some of the monster effects and things, but the budget was very little. Like you wouldn't need as much as like a Star Wars or a Lord
yeah.
of the Rings or something like that. So I think with that is a little bit more tricky versus going full AI to where now it's not just a fraction of the movie. You're talking about the whole thing. I feel like it's a little bit different.
Because I see it like, at first, there's going to be a horror movie that's going to use all AI and stuff. And I think it'll
Mhm.
be interesting the way it could be used. Same with like found footage or, something that just looks uncanny or something like that. You could do something You could do something creative. Um, as far as like AI writing like horror scripts or something like that, I
Yeah.
think that could be interesting. You shouldn't just be like, all right, let the AI do it and just whatever the AI says, we're gonna just do.
And
I
that's what
think
I'm
more,
afraid of. That's what I'm
yeah, I
afraid
think
of.
more so it's like, yo, here's a script that the AI made. Let's like pick and cherry pick certain things and rewrite it just like how you would do a normal script. Like you'll have somebody write a script and you do all these rough drafts and stuff like that. And they try to kind of cut down on that. But you know, I just think that'd be interesting to see if like the first like AI made movie was made by a black person, or what I'm saying, how people would react
But
to
Right,
that
isn't
if
and
it's
that
actually good.
that can't be any worse than what Hollywood is doing currently, right?
but also too, what I'm afraid of is that that's going to create a lot of lazy filmmaking because like the whole origin of CGI was to bring to light the things that they couldn't do practically. You know what I'm saying? Like they
Mhm.
had to pull out all the stops and use their genius to create the practical effects that they did at the time, which a lot of those movies to this day works. But to a perfectionist like a Spielberg or a George Lucas, like damn, if only we had some better technology to bring this to life. And so you look at Jurassic Park, there are times when you watch that movie and it's like, damn, where's the CGI start and the practical end? You know what I mean? Like he
Yeah.
blended it so seamlessly, but that was the point. But then what ended up happening over the years that filmmakers started getting lazy where they depended totally on CGI. So you look at a movie like American Werewolf in London, right? And then you look at American Werewolf in Paris. What the fuck? They use all
See, but
CGI in that
that's
movie,
why
man, and that's the
the
most
new ones
laughably
ain't going
bad.
nowhere though.
What's that, Terrence?
No, I said that's why no matter what they do, the main ones that prefer a certain way of filmmaking will never go anywhere because there will always be a hunger for that, especially for something that's new when you have to win humans over. For every human that you have to win over, you already have a sea of fans that prefer the other stuff.
Yeah, well, my fear is that, you know, as AI progresses, because like you said, purpose inevitable, it's gonna create just lazy filmmaking where okay, all I gotta do is just AI this thing, you know what I
But
mean?
my
And then you're gonna see a lack of creativity,
but
which
my
brings
thing
down the
is like
quality.
we already kind of see that with people actually are physically capable of writing, you know what I'm saying, and
Mhm.
all that. We still get bad scripts. So it's like, could we even really tell the difference? You know,
Oh
like
yeah, I'll be able to tell the
if
difference.
AI if it, like if an AI could write a better script than Taika Waititi, then it's just like, you
That
know,
well, see that's the thing because that's why I was saying it can't get worse than what they're doing right now. It can only get
Right.
better because I'm like, they're like, what do you think this came from? Like one of the writers in Hollywood or this AI? I'm like, I can tell you it came from the AI because it's missing all the bullshit that humans normally put in this thing.
Hmm.
right. So
Yeah.
I was also like when watching this the History of Black Horror documentary, I was looking at a lot of these black exploitation films, and I was like,
Yeah.
they should start remaking some of these, you know, or else at least putting a different spin on. Like Blackula just has an interesting
Hmm.
kind of just it's just the title would throw people off. They'd think, oh, is this a comedy or something like that, or you know what I'm
Well,
saying?
Blackula was supposed to be a totally different movie because I don't know if they covered this in the documentary but the character of Blackula was supposed to be a jive talking hipster vampire, but your boy William Marshall is a Shakespearean actor. He wasn't
Yeah,
going for that. He's like, look, I don't have to act that way, okay? And matter of fact, I think he was because he was a totally different character, and it was William Marshall's idea to make him a prince. You know, and
yeah,
even the
yeah.
man Prince Marmalade, however you say his name, you know, say that was all him. So yeah, Blackula could have been a totally different movie if not for. But that's the thing, like black people had to fight to keep their integrity on film, you know, and say like, look, I'm not doing this. You know, that this is not how we conduct ourselves.
Well,
But that's
too
how
too
Hollywood
bad they don't
saw
have
us.
integrity nowadays, Rashad. Yep.
What's that?
I said too bad. When you look at the majority of black actors in Hollywood, they
Hmm.
can't spell integrity because you throw the right amount of money at them, they will say and do whatever you want.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Look, hey, tap dancing jazz hands.
Yeah, right. So that's
Terrence.
yeah.
So
But
you've seen the trailer for Sinners, right?
I have.
What is your thoughts? Like, what's your like expectation levels for this?
Okay, so one, I thought the trailer was good. You know, I liked the cast and the cinematography and the atmosphere of what they presented in the trailer. And Michael B. Jordan is a good actor. So it's checking all the boxes of quality. And I was just saying to myself, like, okay, there's a lot that I'm not seeing, which is surprising because they tend to show the whole fucking movie in these damn trailers all the time, right? Show the whole damn
Right.
movie.
Hmm.
So because it's so mysterious, I'm like, I wonder how much depth they're gonna go into and how if this is even let's say 20% of what I think it is, which is some really cool crazy kills and stuff with vampires to the degree that you can see this happening on screen and not just characters looking at stuff and it cuts away and leaves it to the imagination. I'm gonna say, you see what happens, Marvel, when you lie to black actors and waste 5.5 years of their life that we get
Right.
Blade somewhere else and you
Hmm.
guys were taking this long to do something simplistic and somebody else beat you to it. I'm like, good. I'm tired of waiting on this
Bro,
bullshit.
Say that
we'll
shit.
probably get a Buffy the Vampire Slayer reboot before Blade comes out.
Man, that is that
Man.
is that is insane, especially when you would think that after that big ass pop around the world, when humans, saw, who popped up in Deadpool and Wolverine, that they would jump on their shit because it's like, hello,
Hmm.
like what you gonna do? You should be doing something with Wesley, but you probably not. So where's Mahershala Ali? Oh yeah, you filming something with dinosaurs because you took too long. Like it makes no sense because they keep saying, and by they I mean Kevin Feige's bitch ass. He keeps saying like, oh, Blade is a priority. Blade is a real priority. We really working hard. I'm like, are you? Because
Shit.
the Fantastic Four just got there and you already finished shooting a fucking movie.
Mhm.
They just got there, and they way
They
more
were probably
complex
trying to
than
do some
Blade.
funny shit. There was probably some funny shit that they wanted to put in that movie that had no business being in that movie, and that's
Oh,
probably what the
absolutely.
holdup is. Yeah.
Yeah, because
That
What
and
that
wasn't that
is,
the whole thing
yeah.
that Marshall Ali was like he wasn't satisfied with the script, and that's
Yes,
where
yeah,
the fallout came
so
in.
he almost left 4 different times because they kept giving him trash scripts. Like the director didn't know nothing about Blade. The humans that wrote those different scripts didn't know nothing about him. They were trying to make him the 5th character in his own movie, and they were
Right.
trying to surround him with a bunch of characters, half of which were female. So I'm just like, you mean to tell me that they about to focus on Blade's daughter in Blade's movie? Like that's a bait and switch. And I was like, they're fucking up. That's why
Blade's
Mahershala Ali,
Angels.
right? The Blade's Angels is just like that's why they was getting
Wow.
ready to leave. I'm like, this sounds like some Blade Trinity shit where you added all these
That's what I was
terrible
thinking
characters
of.
and you
Yeah.
just fucked it up. But it sounds worse than that though, and I didn't even think that was possible. So Mahershala Ali, he left, but then they got him to come back. They're like, hey man, we got a new director, new writer. He like, cool. And they did that like 3 or 4 times. And I'm like, how difficult is it? I'm like, if you don't want to read the Blade comics because you're lazy, that's fine. How about you watch the first 2 Blade movies with Snipes, and that will give you an idea of what you can do. I mean, it's
Yeah,
not
could
that
just
hard.
just remake the first one. You know what I'm saying? Get lazy with it.
Yeah.
Just remake the first one. If you having a hard
It,
time, just remake the first
it's
one.
like it's weird because I'm like, when Kevin Feige's like, yeah, we're a big fan of the kid. I'm like, no, you're not. You just saying that because he's black, but you rushing out all these white characters and stuff. I'm like, look, man, here's one comic. Read this. Blade in London. You get to see him as a kid. You get to see what happened with Deacon Frost and Blade's mother, and you get to see Jamal Afari, who taught Blade how to fight and stuff. I'm like, there's your movie right there. Just read this one thing. That's it. I'm like, that's gonna take you what? 30 minutes to an hour maybe, and you gonna make some shit that nobody knows about, and they'll be surprised and grateful, and you have the ace in the hole because you can show them Blade as a kid. Like, this shit is not difficult to do.
Well, do you
Yeah,
think
it's
the problem is that they don't know how to tie it into the MCU? Because like everything that Marvel does, it has to tie into the phase somehow. So is it because of that?
nah.
You think?
I don't think it's like hard because like look at Werewolf by Night. Like that probably took like not that long to shoot, and you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Well,
We don't know how it fits into the larger scope of things, but like they still were able to make it and put it out
okay,
and put out 2
that's a
versions of it.
that's a great question, Rashad. But here's the thing: the last 4 years of the MCU don't connect to shit anyway.
Nah,
the
at
whole
all.
the whole thing of phases 1 through 3, it being called the Infinity Saga, was because you had to watch everything to understand. I'm like, you ain't gotta watch shit from the last 4. You can skip over
Mhm.
everything and you'll be fine. I'm like, what does Shang-Chi have to do with She-Hulk? What does She-Hulk have to do with
Exactly.
Guardians of the Galaxy? None of this shit is connected. They only recently brought in Kang the Conqueror out of their 10 movies and 11 shows. I'm like, where was he? And he's supposed to be the big bad, a multiverse villain. I'm like, they're
Mhm.
sloppy, they're lazy, and they focused on agenda. Or when they brought in cool characters like She-Hulk, they ruined them. So you can bring in Blade and just not have him connect to anything. But technically, because they did Moon Knight, which was okay, like Oscar Isaac's acting was better than the show itself. But because they have Moon Knight and Werewolf by Night, you can do Midnight Suns.
Right.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean? You could bring in
you already got the
Punisher,
foundation right there.
right? Man Thing, Werewolf by Night. They should have been setting up the supernatural characters, but see, because they don't actually read comics, they're doing stuff by accident. I'm like, do you
Or they
understand
just
that?
they don't even understand horror in
Mhm.
general because it's like how do you not like all you need to do is right get you got Mahershala, you got the actor now just get a director and writers that know exactly what they know how to make a vampire shit. Get the person that
Right.
made I know the person get Mike Flanagan, you know what I'm saying? He just, made
Yeah.
Midnight Mass and shit. He knows what to do with how to make a fucking, vampire joint, but
And,
it's just
And
that's another thing they don't know.
it also sucks too, man, because if they would have struck while the iron was hot, like Marshall Ali, he just came off of 2 straight Oscar wins back to back. You know what I'm saying? And
right.
if they're worried about if the movie will sell, like, dude, you have an Oscar winning actor here playing Blade. You know what I'm saying? That movie could have made millions of dollars, but now
It's weird because
No,
I'm like, if you look at this timeline, guys, I'm not kidding. Like horror fans would have loved this shit because they don't know. But I'm telling you, since it's been almost 6 years, they could have had by this point a third Blade movie, get his trilogy, and then by the end you can do Night Stalkers. They're like, oh, what the hell is that? I'm like, Blade don't do a whole lot of team ups, but with him, you had Hannibal King, who's supposed to be a vampire, who they ruined in Blade Trinity. And then you have Frank Drake, who's a descendant of Dracula. Those three characters together,
could
vampires
have
and a
made
vampire descendant slaying vampires, that shit
you
would have
could
made
have
$1 billion easy.
it could have been equivalent to like what they doing with Castlevania and shit. Like Castlevania is fire. Like that's great
That's
vampire content.
actually a great comparison, actually. See, they not smart enough to think of this stuff. That's why it blows my mind.
But
They fuck me up.
I want to ask you, who's a black actor or actress that you hasn't popped up in horror that you would like to see? Terrence.
Hmm. That's a good ass question. You're gonna have to come back to me because I can't think off the top because I feel like I don't really know which black actors I want to see in horror. Like you would come back to me. I'm gonna think on it for a second.
I would say the dude that was in Rebel Ridge, Aaron Pierre, I think that's his name.
that guy,
I
yeah.
said this, I was like, I could definitely see him as Green Lantern, and it definitely seems like he's gonna possibly be Green Lantern. But I said he would make a dope Candyman.
Oh,
Just something about just something about how he was talking. I was like, that's all he like, be my
yeah,
victim. That's all I can hear and
yeah.
shit. Like I could see him in the trench coat. You know what I'm saying? That's one at least.
Better Candyman than Yahya Abdul Mateen.
Yeah.
Hey,
That was a
hey,
waste. And Yahya could have been really great. He could have been really great, but I just think, in like Nia DaCosta, she's a good director, but it's just like I don't think she should have done Candyman.
Yeah.
What's the name of the dude that you said from Rebel Ridge? Because
Aaron Pierre.
right. So as an actor, he's okay, but he looks nothing like Jon Stewart. Yahya Abdul Mateen looks more like Jon Stewart than him. I'm like, I need a dark person to be Jon Stewart.
That's been kind of the controversy too, but like I feel like they can still make it work. But
even that actor you said, like, let's say, okay, because he's more of a lighter tone, his facial structure doesn't look like John at all. That's my problem.
I don't know. I think Percy's more the physicality of like because he's a big dude. He looks like a comic book character because he's just like
when it comes to body shape, you can find like what's his name from Snowfall. You can build these people up, and they already have the face and the right skin tone. So that's what I'm
already. I already said I want Damson Idris. Like I would lobby for Damson Idris to play T'Challa. You know what I'm saying? I think that if they recast, that should be the guy.
But in all honesty, though, I don't care who they pick for Jon Stewart because that idea already sounds terrible anyway. Making a grounded ass Green Lantern series, I don't like that.
I got some other ideas about that. We could talk about DC stuff another time. Rashad, what's an actor or actress that hasn't popped up in horror yet that you would like to see?
Well, I don't think we've seen Denzel in a horror movie, have we?
Would you consider what's the face? What was that?
The
Book of Eli?
Oh, Book of Eli.
No, that's an apocalyptic movie. That's not really horror.
Yeah. Book of Eli is more sci-fi. Yeah, we've yet to see Denzel like in a straight up like horror movie.
I think would be perfect for Denzel. Now that you mention it, if you were to put him in like a psychological type of like horror movie where it's like he's isolated, maybe you kind of get the whole shtick of him being like this writer that has writer's block. He goes to this hotel, almost like some Shining shit, a little bit, or like some like
Misery
Room 4, like a little bit like that, or just put him in that kind of situation where it's just him or something like that.
I don't see Denzel doing a horror movie because if you look at his film history, he's very particular. It was surprising that he made a sequel to The Equalizer, but it's only because he liked the director, so he did two. But he's much more of a, when he looks at his scripts based upon what I've heard him say, he's of a certain quality. And granted, there are some great horror films, but you would really have to present him with something very intelligent horror wise for him to even begin to consider that.
But that's
Yeah,
the
he's not
thing,
gonna do no
Terrence.
goofy shit. Yeah.
But that's the thing, Terrence. Lately, now, and me and Perk talked about this last week, like briefly. But there's been more and more like respected actors choosing horror
Viola
roles. Like, for
Davis.
example, like we just got Michael B. He's going to be in a horror movie. Halle Berry, the Academy Award-winning actress, just did a horror movie. You know what I'm saying?
Okay,
Brandy.
okay,
that's
but
it.
while that's fair, look at the roles that Michael B. Jordan has done versus Denzel. Like Michael B. Jordan did Chronicle, which was a fire movie, but that's something
Yeah.
Denzel would just slap off his desk. So they take roles that Denzel would never consider. That's the difference.
Well, I mean, that's fair enough.
Viola Davis. I like that. I don't know if she has she been in a horror movie. No, right?
Not that I can
No,
recall.
no, definitely
No.
not. Viola
I think
Davis.
I think she'd be very intimidating if like they go like the Ma
Yeah.
route or some shit like that. Like let her play just a crazy woman.
Yeah.
Like
Tell me why I just thought about her playing the black nurse from New Nightmare. Cut this
Damn.
evil out of him. I can see her
Hey,
play.
that
like
black actress was, when I saw that as a kid, I was just like, see, this is why I don't like to go to the doctor. It's her right there. It's like you try to leave and she's like, stay, sit down. And it's like almost like she was gonna transform into something. We saw what they did with her and Freddie, but it was like even before that, I was like, this actress is really intense. I feel like
she was creepy.
he's supposed to help as a doctor, but I felt like I was in trouble watching that as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
now, an actor that I would want to see pop back in or actress pop back into horror, I think we'll probably see this sooner than later. I think we'll see Jonathan Majors in a horror movie,
Ooh, okay.
like something because he's already kind of dabbled with it with Lovecraft and whatnot, and
right.
that's a good way to kind of just build yourself back up and stuff, getting some horror and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm still a fan of Jonathan Majors. Like, considering that nobody will touch him, like he would have to be in something smaller, like a horror film, and then try to climb. But the sad thing is that, our boy is never gonna be where he was because he's tainted now, even though he didn't do shit wrong. It's just that's the part that still pisses me off. But I can see him really thriving in horror. Like let them announce like Jordan Peele got a new movie starring Jonathan Majors. I will be sleeping in a tent to see that shit.
Yeah, anybody that picks him up though, like, you know what I'm saying, like they're gonna get a lot of support. And I know Hollywood's thinking like, nah, he's just fresh off the case. We got a lot, kind of let that kind of die down before putting him in any big stuff or any movies and stuff.
I was about to say he's gonna have to do the independent circuit for a while, and then like once that blows up, there's gonna be a demand for him.
Which is not even a bad idea because, like I said, indie movies was popping right now. You know what I'm saying?
It'll raise his stock. You know what I'm saying? Like once he blows up on the independent circuit, there's gonna be a demand for him, and then show business is business. So if there's a demand for this actor, he's gonna put asses in the seat, or they're gonna be forgiving really quick. They're gonna forget all about the fact you threw a white bitch in the van.
An actress I want to see come back into horror also. Because she was dabbling into it a little bit, is Angela Bassett, I think. Because she was dope in Coven.
Yeah,
I was like, okay, I want to see her in more horror roles and stuff like that.
Oh,
she was beautiful in Vampire in Brooklyn.
What is it?
I got one for you. It might be left field, but I'm just thinking of the quality of actor and what he could potentially do. Like, I want to see Morgan Freeman like starring in a horror film where he's the main character. Like, that would be pretty sick.
That. I can also see him in like an isolated kind of horror movie type of deal. Because I don't necessarily like when I see like Denzel or like Morgan Freeman. I just automatically kind of think like put him in like that psychological cut him
Right.
off from the rest of civilization type of, it's like a one person kind of character focused story and whatnot. Because I don't see like Denzel or Morgan Freeman doing a slasher or something shit like that,
Yeah, but I
which
know
would be
humans gonna
crazy.
hate this one, but I know humans might hate this one, but I feel like just because it would be like a what the fuck and people be like, well, this ain't gonna work and stuff. That's why I kind of want to see it. I want to see Kevin Hart in a serious horror film where he's not being funny. Like when he did that Netflix series with him and Wesley Snipes, where he
Hmm.
showcased his acting skills for drama.
Yeah,
Like I would like to see that because I think humans would be surprised at what he can do because I've
that
seen a
would
glimpse of
be
it.
that would be interesting. Like, because I don't think he's ever done horror yet.
Mm-mm.
No, not no.
Not
He's
that I
it's
can
all
think of.
yeah, he's done dramas. He's actually done a lot of drama and he's done comedies, but nothing horrific. Like when we talking about not silly, just straight up horror and he's like acting his ass off kind of shit.
Okay,
Like remember Jim Carrey and what was it, the number 23 or whatever?
you
Like
you know
something yeah.
Kevin Hart. You know who exactly he could play. He could play the Leprechaun.
I knew you was gonna say that. I knew that's I watched this motherfucker say Leprechaun.
You know why? You know why I don't want that to happen? No, not because he's black, but because with Leprechaun, that has a lot of humor in it, and that would be on brand with him. Like I'm thinking more something where humans ain't gonna expect it when they look at like they're gonna expect it like oh it's gonna be silly, and it's like oh shit no this
It,
is a serious ass horror movie.
if they could find, and there probably is an actor, a black actor out there that's like an equivalent to like a younger Tony Todd or something like that. Because just Tony Todd has just such a presence about him
Mm-hmm.
that it's like that's like a one of a kind talent type of like actor and whatnot. Would be another one. I could see Damson in a horror.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? He probably fit in the horror comedy type of lane.
Yeah.
Um,
Can,
who's
can,
another?
can we get Simon Lathan back? I'm just saying, like,
Sure, that's big. Yeah. Wait,
hey,
Tony
shit.
says Marlon Wayans. Well, Marlon Wayans did the haunted house movies, so those are like
Rashad. I've told you somebody's going to make a play off of like Diddy and going to have Diddy. It's gonna be the serial killer. I don't know if Terrence heard this. It's gonna be the serial killer that his whole MO is he's gonna be using baby oil.
baby oil.
Yep, sometimes in life, and you know what? The
They're
Waynes,
gonna
like
call him slippery. That's gonna be his killer's
Slippery.
name.
Keenan Ivory Waynes as a writer and a director, everything that he's done over the last several decades, if he were to be the one to compete with Jordan Peele, I think that would be fucking flames.
Mm.
Yeah. But I agree with you with that. Like, he Jordan Peele definitely needs some competition, even though he's kind of like, he has other competition that are like
Right.
non-black, but it's just like we need more of those types of minds, those types of creatives in that type of lane for sure.
Oh, hey Perp, I got one for you because you watched Doom Patrol. So
Hmm.
even though we kind of saw him in the first Purge, not like the first Purge movie, but the first Purge where they were centered around black people in that
Oh, so
urban
when he was on
area.
Staten Island, yeah. Oh,
Right.
to
So
that guy. Okay, I know you're talking
right,
about.
the one who plays Cyborg in Doom Patrol,
Okay,
like
yeah, yeah.
give him a starring role. Yep.
I could see that. I could see that. You mentioned Doom Patrol. Shit, it was just in my head. It was a Doom Patrol, but fuck, it's gonna come to me in like 2 seconds. But you know, I would like to see. There's plenty of black actors I would like to see. Step into that lane because I just think like with horror just being really popular, as you know, this is as popular as it's going to get. Like at this time, so
Well,
it just seems like
I
a
would
no
love to
bueno.
see Tariq. I would love to see Tariq in a horror movie just so he can get killed.
Yeah,
You know?
and throw a little
Yeah.
temper tantrums and shit.
Hey, what about the obvious choice that I haven't heard a lot, but it's like one of those like, why haven't I heard it more? What about Caleb from Stranger Things that played Lucas?
Well, he was
Yeah, I
just
can
in
see
the
him.
Deliverance. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and when I mean use him, I mean put him in something that's of quality and have him be the main character.
I can see that too.
Yeah. I mean, he wasn't bad in the Deliverance. The little demon kid stole the show though. But
Yeah, we
who
the
the hell is that?
I
Anna
need
who?
I need Coco Jones to be a final girl. That'd be dope.
Coco Jones. What? Yeah. Hell yeah. What a tall, sexy ass. Ain't that motherfucker like 6 feet? That's a tall girl.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I think one of the coolest, monsters and everything is Predator because he didn't kill Sana Lathan. I'm telling you that right now. Like
Yeah.
he knew her potential and he got a glimpse of her future and he saw her in future horror films and stuff. Like I think that she can do something right there.
So
Get
she
her
can okay. So as far as black final girls go, there's not many. So you got Jada Pinkett, right? Demon Knight, Sanaa Lathan. I'll count her in AVP. Who else has there been? I'm trying to think.
What about Michael Ealy? You know what I mean? He got that, like he knows how to play those creepy characters. Because if you saw The Perfect Guy with him,
he might just be bad luck though. I think he's just bad luck, man. Because anytime he come around, like shows get canceled. You know what I'm saying?
but he has the talent.
Yeah,
I feel like he can play. Because when I saw him in The Perfect Guy, I went to see that in the theater with friends and shit. We was like, man, this dude really knows how to play these crazy ass characters. Like I can see him, whether it be a killer or just him being in the movie as a final black character. Like I just like him a lot as an actor. That's all I'm saying.
Amari Hardwick. Amari Hardwick would be dope. I was just thinking about this. Even though this character has always played villains, Giancarlo Esposito, like.
Yeah,
I feel like he's very menacing.
Yeah.
Like,
that
if he was if he was a few years young, if he was like a couple, like 10, 20 years younger, I'd be like, yo, get him to be Freddy or something.
Dog, he scared me in Breaking Bad. I never forget when he had Walt and Jesse down there in the cellar thing, and he slowly walked down the stairs, didn't say a word, took his suit off, put that jacket on, cleaned his glasses. Walked up to your boy, slit his throat, puts his shit back on, washes his hands, goes back upstairs. That was the scariest shit ever I see on the fucking show. I was like, what the hell did I just watch? Yeah.
You know what's interesting? Like I can only see him as villainous characters. Like how we got in what was it, Annabelle, the vampire movie? Y'all know what I'm talking about, right?
Abigail.
Yeah,
Abigail. There we go. Yeah, Annabelle's that shit from
the doll.
That's right. He was in that shit. Damn. But I can see
the Conjuring franchise. That's where Annabelle's from. But yeah, Abigail, like he was in there and he was a vampire, right? Like I can see him being only like a villainous character because if you have him just as a final guy, I feel like he's just too cool and his voice sounds a certain way to where you would have to really come out with like a crazy monster or something to make me believe that he's scared of whatever that is. So that's the problem with putting him in certain things.
Or have him be like a serial killer, you know what I'm saying? Like I think of like have him be a serial killer that like kind of almost on some Dexter shit where he kind of logs the shits, like the events in his head.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta have a lot of inner thoughts and stuff like that.
Right.
In fact, if Dexter is coming back, like where it's gonna continue from New Blood, that'd be like Dexter facing him as one of the main villains in that iteration that's coming out soon. That would be flames. Like I could picture Dexter having fun with Giancarlo Esposito, like where they're going back and forth with their dialogue and trying to one up each other. Like that'd be fun to watch.
I would also like to see Will Smith come back. You know what I'm saying? Do a horror movie.
What horror movie did I Am Legend, right? Yeah.
That was a good movie. They just fucked up the ending. That's all.
I heard, yeah. Like, well, wasn't it like an alternate ending or whatever?
When you at the time, so because in the movie when we went to see it in the theater, it was like he blew himself up. You had that chick and her son, and they found all these people like, yay, and I'm like, nah, fuck that. But in the alternate
What?
ending, you had those creatures. They broke through the glass, but then he gave the main guy with the vest, the leader, he gave him the body of that chick he was experimenting on, and then they all left. So his character survived. So I'm like, that's interesting. But to me, it should have ended with, a voiceover from him, and there's no hope. It's just those things running rampant. Because the way that it ended, it almost counteracted the shit that he did in the last 40 minutes of the movie. So that's what to me kept it from being perfect. So,
Gotcha.
What are I'll start with you, Rashad. What are some things in black horror that you're tired of that does not need to be put to screen anymore, or just like tropes or whatever? What are you, or tropes,
Well,
or just settings
they
or whatever?
well, some of the old tropes they kind of got rid of, which I'm thankful they did. So, even though I'm not the biggest fan of movies like Nope and Us, but I will say that they are different. You know what I'm saying? They show us in a different light. Whereas the tropes back in the day, like I said, was like extra. You know what I'm saying? Be extra urban, black, hood, or be like super scary. You know what I'm saying? And when I say super scary, like, the black guy that's always like, please don't kill me, oh God.
Also,
Like,
Tyrese
dog,
shit.
like,
Oh
yeah,
God, that's
man.
just funny.
oh,
No.
like, dog, like it was always one extreme or the other, man. Either we were like super cowardly or we were super, just machismo or whatever. You know what I mean? But they kind of got away from that a little bit. But those are the things that now when I watch horror movies, I'm like, oh, that I'm embarrassed. That's really embarrassing. Like, why do you have us acting like that? You know what I mean?
Mm.
But yeah, that's about it.
What about you, Terrence? Don't you want to see anymore in black horror, like moving forward?
I don't want to see horribly written characters, like and characters that are forgettable, that you like, maybe 1 month pass and you don't even remember the character's name or nothing. I want the same level of quality that they do for the white characters, that they give the white actors and actresses. Like I'm tired of them presenting whack shit or just something that's passable, because passable is not good. It's just enough. And I'm tired of that shit. When it comes to these characters, I'm like, so how come this actor couldn't be that character? Why you got
Right.
to be this character? So, I'm tired of them presenting the black actors or actresses in a way to kind of check off boxes and get points, but they're never really trying to put them in a good position to succeed.
Great point.
Well,
That's a
let
good
me
point.
let me ask this question real quick, because I don't know, it's kind of like they say double-edged sword, a slippery slope, because you have complaints now from because I watch a lot of YouTube, of course, because this is what we do, but you do see some black YouTubers saying that Hollywood is overcompensating, putting black people in lead roles and giving them parts just because they're black, and they'll get mad like, wow, like, don't give us this role because we're black, don't give us this just because we're black, like you're pandering, like we don't want to be pandered to. But then
Right.
when you don't give us those roles, then it's like, well, how come we're not getting the roles that we should be getting? And then when we do get them, we're saying we're being pandered to. It's
It's
almost
like a
like damned
double-edged
if you
sword.
do, damned if you don't. You know what I
Well, I
mean?
mean, it's an obvious balance. Like the reason why you have a lot of black YouTubers saying that is because they have been given a lot of trash. And then on the flip side, they're just there by default, like they said. So
Mhm.
if they would have never got onto the agenda train to begin with and just naturally did things that they were supposed to do, you wouldn't
Right.
get these obvious reactions. Because I'm like, do you know how tragic it is when you get a well-written black character or a well-written female character, but individuals think that it's the trash that they've been getting? It's because you took so long. It's almost like it's too late that you now have to convince them, but that's the fault of Hollywood for doing it that long to begin with. Now the projects that deserve to succeed with the actors and actresses and stuff, they end up failing because of that. So I think that the balance is obvious, but Hollywood was never trying to do anything that was smart. Their whole thing was like, let's make money, let's check off boxes. But then they ignore everything else. And then when stuff fails, they're like, I don't know what happened. Like, we put Perp and Rashad in the movie, they black, like, all the black people should have showed up. But if the movie's bad, why would all the black people show up just because Perp and Rashad are in the movie and they're black? That's not how that works.
So that's where the whole pandering argument comes in. Like, man, you're just pandering right now instead of giving us quality,
Right.
black roles.
Yeah, they put you and Perp in the movie to go see black people, but they don't care about your talent. They don't care if you're right for the character. They're not doing a small level of thinking that you would think would come along with making these projects.
That's always been kind of Hollywood's mindset. Like, that's
So
always kind of plagued them.
so I guess the only solution for that would be to make our own shit.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
And that's what I said. Like, I think
productions.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think we're gonna start seeing more of that. Like, we'll start to see more black creatives kind of get in that space. Like, you start to see them on YouTube. They'll start probably making their own fan films or ideas. They'll put them out and cut out the middleman. You don't really need these big major studios. Like I said, Terrifier 3, like the Terrifier movies are a good example of that. You don't need these huge studios and stuff like that. You just need I was just gonna say you just need like a solid distributor that believes in what they're gonna support you, and then what I'm saying, it's off to the races.
Well, that's why I'm happy to be alive. I mean, I know I'm considered an old head, but listen, I was around during the Black Renaissance of filmmaking, where you had Spike Lee and Robert Townsend, John Singleton. You know what I'm saying? You had these even Eddie. You know what I'm saying? Eddie even got on the bandwagon on that. When Eddie saw what Robert Townsend and Keenen Ivory Wayans and Spike Lee did, he says, "Well, shit, I need to cash in on this." So that's when he did Harlem Nights. So you had this resurgence of black filmmakers, black directors that put out films that the black community loved. Like in the past 5 years, can you name me one movie that will be a staple in black households that you could think of in the past 5 years where you're like, damn, that's a black classic. That's shit that you get around the holidays to watch with your family.
There are none, but even if you mention just randomly, just like, okay, Friday, Boys in the Hood, Menace to Society, there's other ethnicities that love that shit that are not black. So that's the problem with, like, if we have to do shit ourselves, the problem is that more often than not, it just stays in our community. It doesn't become like this big global thing, which is what we want. Like, it should be that you're like, man, you know what? Let's check this out. And that's all that it is. And it happens to be black people in it instead of, Tyler Perry, like, I'll do it myself. It's like, nigga,
we want to be up there. Like last episode was about Stephen King. Like, we want to be up there mentioning what the Stephen King's, just the big names. Be up there like Alien. We want to make that 300 million as well.
But Terrence, that's a good point. Yeah, a lot of those classics resonated with multiple races. Like even a movie like Menace to Society. I was in high school when that movie came out, and even white kids love that movie. You know what I'm saying? Spanish kids love that movie. Like it was just. I mean, I just feel like when you tell really good stories, even if they're predominantly black stories, but if you tell really good stories, it resonates with many cultures. So that's why you can put on Friday and movies like that in other cultural households, because they're just great stories, man.
Yeah, I'll tell you the shit I'm sick of, right? Y'all should already know. I'm sick of this goddamn Jim Crow shit. Why does that always be the setting for everything? So if not Jim Crow, we in like the 1800s and shit, like slaves and shit. Like, no. Can we just get out of that time? Can we do some horror sci-fi where we're in the future?
Nigga on that man.
Django Unchained is goated, because that's the only slave movie where the slave was badass and just killing everybody. Like,
that should kill me, bro.
What did he say? He was like, "Shut up, black." When he came out, I was like, "What?"
I feel you on that though, bro. Yeah, I'm tired of that too, man.
Yeah,
Just like I don't want to see no more slave movies. I don't want to see no more, struggle movies. We have this. We have a whole library of those. So if you want to show your kids what was it like back in the day, look, put on Gloria Roots or whatever. I don't want to see no
see
more.
that's why I liked about
Oh my
Never
God,
Let
that shit was
Go.
dope.
That's why I liked about Never Let Go. You had Halle Berry in it. She did a
Yeah,
great job in that. And
mhm.
the two black kids in there, like they was really solid. Like, cause normally kid actors are pretty trash, but they was really fucking good. Like they've been doing this shit forever.
Right.
Hey, man, those black girls that were in Lovecraft Country when they were playing those crazy demonic twins with the
Oh, bro,
fucked
Oh
up.
the
yeah,
pick was it the Pygmies or some shit?
Yeah, like
Pickaninnies,
that.
yeah.
Those actresses were. I'll tell you what.
I don't
Like
want to think
parents
about
ain't
that.
scared
That
of
shit give
shit,
me
but
fucking chills.
I was like, parents ain't scared of shit. But I'll tell you what. Like out of all the horror movies I've been watching, those little black girls from Lovecraft Country,
And
they're more terrifying than any of this shit I've been watching.
they follow you. So like
Right.
that's
Right,
And they
right.
dancing in the craziest fucking way, and the way they skip and move from side to side. I'm like, bro, I would just shoot myself. It'd be done. We're not playing that.
that should just you just mentioning them just gave me chills. Like literally
Yeah.
chills
And that
down the
song that
spine.
they were playing too, that who's that
No, we're
knocking
not
at
the
the door?
ooh. Mm-mm,
Yeah,
mm-mm.
I was
Nope,
like,
nope, nope. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got for tonight. Just kind of wrap things up. Um, Rashad, what you got going?
Well, I just dropped a review today. Did I drop it today? Yeah, I just dropped it today for apartment 7A. No, actually, yesterday. I dropped it yesterday. Yeah, I dropped it yesterday. Apartment 7A. Hated it. I think it. I don't. I said this in my review. I said I don't want to see no more movies about the devil this year. The devil has got too much damn praise this year, and I'm sick of that motherfucker. No more devil movies for me. Okay, that's it.
It's
That's all.
a lot of religious horror this year. Like it's been a big year
No,
for
like
religious
how
horror.
many times we gotta see a white bitch get pregnant with the devil's baby? I don't want to see this shit no more, man.
They're
You
trying to tell
know,
you something. Hollywood's
yeah,
trying to tell you something.
probably so, like foreshadowing, right?
Yeah.
So, so yeah, I just dropped a video for that yesterday. And what I got coming up? Well, I got an early screener for Joker next Thursday.
nice.
So yeah, so be on the lookout for that video coming. And I dropped
Yeah,
a review
Monday.
for The Wild Robot. I watched that early too.
Fire.
That was surprisingly really good. And so far, yeah, that's about it that I got coming up right now. Well, October's coming up too, so of course I have a lot of horror to cover, including reaction videos. So I
Bro,
got a
that
reaction.
first week is crazy. I'm looking at this first week. I'm like, Jesus Christ, bro. Like
Yeah,
everybody's dropping. Everybody's like, hey, let's just drop on fucking October 4th and shit.
right, right, right.
Because there's the Mel Gibson joint, the Monster House, the Summer Monster Summer. Um, I don't know if it's gonna play by me, but Little Bites. I've been hearing about that.
Mm-hmm.
What's another one? Platform 2, Salem's Lot. Oh, man, there's just so many off the top of my head. I can't
If
think
any
about.
of them have to do with Satan, I'm out. All right. Okay. Well, perfect. Have you seen Apartment 7A? Did you watch it?
I watched a little bit. I got distracted and I couldn't go back to it. I'm probably gonna get around to it, but
Exactly. That just goes to show how
shouts
bad it
to
is.
shouts to Q. I know you just popped up at the end, so just go back and check it out.
What up, Q?
But no, it was I wasn't bored. I just got distracted. Whenever I get like when I set my mind like, all right, I gotta watch this, and then I get
Yeah.
distracted, I start doing other shit and just never go back to it, or just don't never go back to it. But you know, I
Well,
just
probably the best thing about that movie was how you say her name, Diane West, the mom from the Lost Boys. 'Cause at first it took me a while to realize that was her. I was like, yo, why she look so familiar? Then I said, oh, that's the mom from the Lost Boys. And Edward Scissorhands. She's older now.
Yo, that's
She
my
was the
shit
best
right
part of the
there. The
movie.
Lost Boys,
I
man. The
got
Lost
to
Boys.
I'm at the part where it's like she just had gotten drugged and now
Yeah,
she got like a dance number, which is a fucking terrifying like way to like date rape somebody. Like to show them getting
right,
date rape,
right.
you do a dancing number and shit like that. Like that's crazy. But
Yeah.
that's where I kind of stopped at. But Terrence, what you got going on?
Before I say that, like, man, you sure we got to wrap it up? Cause that's what she said. But cause we just barely started. I thought we was gonna go for 10 hours, but
Nah,
you
nah,
know.
nah.
10
All right.
hours.
It's 10 hours when you get the full season. You know what I'm saying? That's 10 hours you get right there. But
Shit,
I
by the
see.
fourth hour, my ass is gonna be snoring to my 10
yeah,
hours.
The important thing is that, as depressing to hear as that is, that we're not gonna go 10 hours. I can always work it out. That's what a therapist is for. But anyway, human. It's Terrence here, and you can find me on T Virus Terrence. Um, I have about 400 videos that are scheduled to drop for the rest of this year, consisting of many things. So that's pretty much what I have planned. But other than that, I just kind of float around on this platform, and then I end up where I end up. I'm still trying to end up, with a conversation with Rashad, but he's very
Yeah, well, listen,
difficult to get
but
a
yeah,
hold of.
well, before the night's over, man, we're gonna figure that out, bro. Before the night's over, we're gonna figure that out.
Yeah, I'm just glad, Rashad, that you cool with me, because at first I thought you were gonna think like, man, who is this buff weird nigga? Like, I ain't trying to talk to him. Like, I thought it was gonna be one of those,
Listen,
but
I'm a buff weird nigga myself, man. So it's all good. Birds of the same feather flock together, my nigga.
yeah. So but yeah, other than that though, I know that's kind of vague. Humans might be like, wait, 400 videos. What are they about? I'm like, well, you just gotta find out. Just stay tuned, and I'm gonna keep doing my thing as long as my channel exists on the platform. And then if something happens, then Terrence will just make another channel.
okay,
Um,
okay. Yeah, for me, I got Joker 2 review coming out Monday, the IMAX joint. I'm waiting. I don't know if I'm gonna stay up and watch um Izumi. I think that's how you pronounce it.
who?
Izumaki. That's what it's. Never mind. But it's like a anime horror joint. It's one of those like it's like black and white, but it's one of those like really trippy, weird fucking horror joints that I really like.
Mm.
I'm curious to see how this is gonna play out because like the last one I kind of watched in the same kind of vein. It's like the I don't know exactly what they call it. It's like a specific genre, but like I remember the last one I watched. It was I wish I would have downloaded the picture so y'all could see it. That shit just like was freaky as hell. Imagine like you losing your head and your head turns into like a fucking balloon, so all you see outside is these floating heads on that look like balloons floating in the sky and shit. It was really cool, cool visuals and stuff like that.
Man, what the fuck kind of drugs they on, man?
Yeah, it's crazy, but I'm watching that. I'm watching that either tonight or tomorrow. Oh fuck, From comes out tonight. Tonight, way later tonight. But yeah, I got From coming out too. The Penguin reviews coming soon. Next
Hey,
week is episode 7. We're gonna be talking about the big three of horror. So definitely stay tuned for everything that is on the horizon. I got a bunch of reviews coming. Perptober is right around the corner, so once that starts, you know what I'm saying?
um,
It's gonna be just a wave of movies. It's gonna be a wave of movies and different content and stuff like that I'm working on. I'm working on like a Terrifier, video that is talking about what makes the Terrifier movies great. So I'm gonna try to get that out sooner than later.
Mm.
Perp, yep, before you close out, there's something I just wanted to bring up. Yep.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so are you sure you don't want to have this go 10 hours? Like, you really sure about that?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Hey, yeah, y'all ain't finna hear me snoring and put me all over the internet, man. Like, true story, man. That whole show that happened with Shannon Sharp where he went live by accident and people were saying that's impossible. I said, no, that's not impossible because, man, it was one morning I woke up and my cousin's blowing my phone up. Like, Rashad, answer your phone. Like, what? She told me, boy, you've been on live for like an hour straight just snoring. And I said, get the fuck out of here, man. I open up Facebook, bro, and literally somehow I hit my phone in a way where I turn on Facebook Live. So for like an hour straight, man, you hear me just snoring. Luckily, there's no visuals, but I'm snoring my ass off.
I believe you,
Look
Rashad.
at Q. Yeah,
but,
Q
I
remembers
believe
that.
you, but Shannon Sharp is a damn liar. I don't believe that for a second. You know, the man too smart for that. You know, I
And
think there's
that's the moral of the story right there. Shannon Sharp is a liar. You know
Oh
what I'm
yeah.
saying?
Well, I ain't saying. I'm just saying that that's not impossible because Q
yeah. I
witness.
feel you. I feel you.
Q my witness because he actually saw that shit. But yeah, I was snoring for like an hour, and I was
That's
so
funny.
embarrassed.
at least you're an honest guy. You know, Shannon Sharp. He kind of clever with his lies and stuff. I don't know, man.
Oh, yeah. Well, he had to set up that whole "I'm not gay" thing because first thing he said was, Cat Williams called me. He said, you wasn't gay last night. Hey, Ocho, hey, Ocho, ain't nothing sweet about me, Ocho.
Yep,
But
get it in.
with that being said, we gonna head out. I'll see y'all next week. Peace.
Peace.